All right, everybody, welcome back to the Tennessee Brando Show. It's been a while since we did one of these live, and so I want to thank everyone for taking time out of your Tuesday to join me. It's been a hell of a month, and we're not even a week in all the way. It's been a hell of a year, and so we've got plenty to talk about as the Trump-Epstein shutdown wages on. And I appreciate everyone for taking time out to join in with me because it's going to be a hell of a show because there's so much stuff out there to talk about. Also, I want to say that I know I haven't been doing these as regular as I have in the past. I've just been doing a lot of traveling and getting into some things, so I haven't had time to, sit down and do one of these. So it's good to get back in the saddle and do it live. I won't be doing one next Tuesday. I'll go ahead and say that. But after that, once we get past next week, then I'll probably be able to get back in the saddle and do these on a more consistent basis. And I really appreciate those of you that have stuck with me and support what it is that I do. Yes, I am still writing over on Substack, and I'm enjoying that. So if you want to check me out over on Substack, I'm there. Don't really post a whole lot on the TikTok app anymore. I have people asking me, where I'm at over there. And the main reason why I don't post over there, number one, is because I always just kept getting slapped down with community guideline violations that were ridiculous. That was number one. And then number two, now it seems as though that's just going to be a megaphone for Netanyahu. So I definitely don't want to be part of that. So I don't really post much content at all on TikTok or X. But I am on Blue Sky, Substack. I'm on the Meta platforms. Share my reels and stuff over there and share my videos. So you can find me at all those places, or I'm just right here on YouTube. This is my main home. And so you can definitely, this is where I pump most of my content right here. But I do enjoy writing the Substacks. They do, it's a different approach. It's a different feel. And so I really do enjoy doing those. I started off writing blogs years ago. And maybe that's where I should have stayed. Maybe I should have stayed in that political lane that I was in back then and saved myself a lot of grief. But it all worked out in the end, and here we are together. And so I really do appreciate y'all so much. It's great to see some of you. I was looking at the comments in the waiting room. That's what I used to say when we would do this on a regular basis. Hey, everybody in the waiting room, thanks for being here. I'm always sitting here getting everything to go, and I can see the comments coming in. So it's great to see y'all. And we'll just get started with the show. There's plenty of stuff to discuss as this crazy world wages on. And so wherever you're at, just take care of yourself. I always tell my listeners, take care of your mental health, take care of yourself, and we'll plow through. In the words of Bill Hicks, one of my favorite comedians, he used to say, bear with me while I put on a fake smile and plow through this. And that's really how it feels sometimes these days, because you're just like, dang. A friend of mine sent me a meme a while ago that said, it's hard to have a good day when you know all the facts. And I was like, yeah, sometimes that's the truth, but we do the best we can. We'll have a good day. And I appreciate y'all so much for hanging in there with me. So the Trump and Epstein shutdown is continuing, and that's what I'm going to be calling it from here on out, because in my gut, I'm of the opinion that the whole reason this thing is waging on is because they don't want to reopen the government. Because when they do, they're going to have to swear in Adelita Grijalva out of Arizona. She's the 218th vote that Thomas Massie needed in order to be able to release the files. And so they're dancing all around this one as much as they can. I've had people say to me, Brando, how long do you think that the government will actually be shut down? And to tell you the truth, I think this is what Republicans wanted. I mean, I really do believe that this is what Donald Trump and the Republican Party wanted. In my opinion, the government's been shut down since January 20th. I mean, it's not been working for the American people. It's been working for Donald Trump and his billionaire buddies. So I don't know. Like when people ask me, when do you think it'll reopen? I really couldn't tell you. And I really do believe that they're going to delay it as long as they can because of what's going on. But one thing that I saw that just absolutely sickened me to my core, this is the one I've been watching, this is the one I've been waiting on, was to see if Trump will pardon Ghislaine Maxwell or not. And he was asked about that. And this was his response. Take a look.
The Supreme Court is back and they rejected today the president.
Say it.
The Supreme Court is back and they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people who've asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I'd have to ask DOJ. I didn't know they rejected it. I didn't know she was even asking for it, frankly.
Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine and sell them to NATO, let them sell them to Ukraine.
Yeah, I've sort of made it.
That is one of the most screwed up responses that I have ever seen. And when he said, I haven't heard that name in a long time, I immediately flashed back to just a couple of weeks ago. Back in August, he was asked about it, and he knew about it then. I'm sure that he's heard her name quite a bit, and I'm sure that they're all squirming and trying to figure out what to do. But that was one of the most deer in headlight answers that I've ever seen. And that should just be exhibit A for how to spot a bullshitter. Like if you was doing a class on how to spot a bullshitter, you would just play that clip and say, this here is exactly how that you spot a bullshitter, because he was so deer in headlights. I don't know. Is she asking for one? Haven't heard that name in a long time. Well, I'd have to take a look at it. That's not the answer when someone asks you a question about pardoning a convicted child sex trafficker. The answer to that question is hell no. They will never receive a pardon from me. But he just lumps her in with all of his other January 6th patriots and everyone else that he considers a hero. She gets lumped right in there with them. And after they go around for years calling themselves the party of pro-life, the party that's all about protecting children from the drag queens. Oh, we got to stop the drag queens from reading a book to your kid. But we'll have to take a look at it when it comes to this child sex trafficker. We'll have to take a look at that one. I'll have to look into that. That's one that I would never have to look into. If I was sitting there, President of the United States, and someone said, hey, there's a convicted child sex trafficker that's looking for a pardon, the answer would be an overwhelming hell no. But I feel like there's a deeper reason why that he always looks deer in headlights when he hears her name. And I believe, you know, when you look back at everything that's happened from the moment that Elon said he's in the files, it's been one big train wreck ever since that moment. That's the moment where it all went kaboom. And now here we are trying to pick up the pieces and make sense of it. Because after that, you know, we got told that the list was on Pam Bondi's desk, and then we got told that no, there's not a list. And then MAGA influencers got handed phase 1, and then they got told, well, there's not going to be a phase 2. And then Kash Patel said, oh, he wasn't trafficking Epstein, wasn't trafficking to anyone but himself. And then Howard Lutnick goes on a podcast and says, oh, he was the greatest blackmailer of all time. So it's just been one giant train wreck, and Ghislaine Maxwell got moved to a cushy country club prison, which is something else that a child sex trafficker should never get. And now here we are with the government shutdown. We've got the 218th vote just waiting to be sworn in, and they're hesitating. So that's why that I would refer to this as the TrumpStein shutdown. I mean, that's how it seems to me. I'm not Ben Matlock. I'm not Perry Mason, but I can pretty much see all the evidence in front of me and say to myself that this does not make sense. I'm going to play a clip here of Akeem Jeffries. I'm glad to see that he's finally calling this out for what it is. We need more of this from the Democratic Party. Take a look.
And the interesting thing to me is, why are House Republicans still on vacation? They've actually been on vacation for the last few weeks, and Mike Johnson, once again, has canceled votes. Why are they so afraid of being here at the Capitol and doing their job? Why don't Republicans want to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva? Is it the Epstein files? Is it the unwillingness to address the Republican health care crisis? Is it because they know the American people have blamed Republicans for recklessly shutting down the government? Or is it all of the above? House Democrats are here on duty. House Republicans remain on vacation. That's a shame. Back. And the interesting thing to me is, why are House Republicans still on vacation?
And let's talk about.
So that clip there played twice, but the point was made. I do believe that it is all of the above, but I do believe that it leans harder on the Epstein, because the minute they reopen the government, they have to face up to the music. And I don't think they want to face that music. And it's really a shame to me to see people sit back and continue to go to bat for Donald Trump after they're the ones that made Epstein their main talking point. It wasn't us. They're the ones that made Epstein their main talking point, and they really did believe that when Donald Trump got back into power, he would expose the deep state. You got to understand, they felt like that everything was wrongfully taken away from them in 2020. They believed that. We know it's bullshit, but they believed it. So they just thought, if we can get him back over the finish line, he'll get it right the next time. That's what these people really truly believed. And so they got him back. They were waiting for the deep state to be exposed. And you got people like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. I mean, they built their podcasting careers off of this subject. Kash Patel said, well, the FBI has the list. The FBI knows the answers. And then he gets in there and he's working for the FBI. And I would have just loved to have been a fly on the wall when people like him and Bongino got behind closed doors and started looking at what was right in front of them. And it's pretty funny to me how that after years of talking about this now, after saying they're going to bring down the deep state, they have become the deep state. And it's one of those things where I look at the way that I think when I consider, who I vote for, I vote and I have voted for Democrats my entire life. That's because that I've always felt in every election that I've ever voted in that the Democrat was the better person for the job. But if they came out and just did a complete 180 on everything that they had ever promised, I mean, I understand that I'm not always going to get my way on every little single issue, but if they just came out and did a complete 180 and said the exact opposite, I would be the first one calling bullshit. I would be the first one saying this is not what I voted for. Now, I am seeing some MAGA say that. There's some. But then there's those that just continues to hold on to this for as long as they can and just continue to ride it out and ride it out. And I say to myself, when will they finally wake up and realize that they were duped? And I've seen a lot of left-leaning creators say things like, I was never interested in this. This wasn't a subject that I really wanted to talk about, but now I am interested in it. And I'll be honest with you, I've always been interested in this because Epstein died on Trump's watch. And a lot of people tried to shift and blame that on the Clintons. Immediately, the conspiracy theorists started saying that Bill Clinton must have walked in there with a cigar at night and did it or whatever. But I personally, I was like, this happened on Trump's watch. Maybe we should take a look at that. But then they began to cook up all of their conspiracy theories, and I did begin to sort of write it off like, probably just a bunch of MAGA conspiracies. But now that the ball's in their court, now that they're the ones holding on to this, and it's theirs, again, I'm not Matlock or Perry Mason, but they do look guilty as hell. I mean, it's like, it really is when you see the way that it's all unraveled since Elon dropped that bomb. And I forgot the part about Elon being mentioned in there and Steve Bannon being mentioned in there. So it's funny to me. I always circle back to this point, and it may get repetitive, but I'm always going to circle back to this point so that people doesn't turn and say, both sides are the same, man. No, we're not, because if Democrats are on the list and Democrats did wrong, I don't care if it's Bill Clinton or who the hell, if they hurt innocent women and children and they did wrong, put them to the bottom of the jail, and I won't have to throw away one Bill Clinton flag. I won't have to peel one Bill Clinton sticker off of nothing. I don't have no action figures of Bill Clinton. I don't have any of that stuff. So I'm not going to lose any merch, nor am I going to lose sleep if he did something wrong and he's found guilty. I can say that. The question becomes, can Republicans say it? And I think we all know the answer. So it's just crazy to me, folks. It truly is crazy that these people just continues to defend this. It's like, how long are you going to defend it before you finally say, you know what, I do believe that we've been played. It's not hard. I mean, we've all been played. We've all been duped by somebody. I am starting to see people, there's some people that I'm starting to see wake up. I've seen some people over on TikTok that are starting what they call the purple revolution. I'm kind of a skeptic when I see things like that, to be honest with you. It's people that are walking away from MAGA and saying, now we need to unite. And I do understand, both sides of the argument. I understand that these people triple trumped and got us into this shape because they would not listen to anything that we had to say. So it's really hard to be forgiving, if I'm being honest. I also understand the argument of, well, we got to give them a bridge back. We can't completely, we're going to need to work together in order to fix things. So I can see both sides of that. But all I will say is that, yes, I would be willing to work with anybody to restore democracy and restore some sense of America. I would be willing to do that, but I can't promise that we'll be sharing Christmas cards once we're done. I really don't know if it's one of those things where I'm going to want to go out and have a beer or sit down and eat with these people once it's all over. And you all can be the judge of that. You know, some people are way more forgiving than others, but it's just been a very trying 10 years, and it's been nothing but constant gaslighting from the right. It's absolutely, you know, we all have fatigue from it. We have fatigue because we sit down in these chairs every day and we go to bat and we tell the truth and we point to the evidence and we point to the facts and we say, hey, look, they're screwing you. Hey, look, they're lying to you. I don't think he'd do that. I don't think they'd let him do that. And then we're right back here. And then after the third time of it, for someone to say, you know what, now we kind of think we might come over to your side. It's hard. It's hard to then go, oh, well, welcome back. So I see both sides. I understand we have to leave them a bridge to come back to common sense. I did see one thing that one dude said that did make sense. He was like, you know, when people are coming out of a cult, they're looking for answers and they're looking for someone to be understanding and they're looking for someone to help them. So if you think about it from that angle, these people are coming out of that, and yeah, we could extend that hand if they unclench their fist. At the same time, like I said, once it's all over, I don't know if I'm ever going to fully trust it or if I'm ever going to be exchanging Christmas cards, but that's just me. Again, I want to thank y'all so much for being here with me. Thanks to all of my members who have tuned in and everyone out there that is watching. I really appreciate it. It's good to be back in the saddle doing one of these things live. Hope everyone is having a great Tuesday. This shutdown is going to continue. I don't know how long it's going to last, but we'll end up seeing. Every time I sit down in the chair to do a video or record anything, by the time I get done, the story has drastically changed. That's just how fast the news is breaking these days. They said they was going to flood the zone. They weren't bullshitting when they said that. And so, yeah, we have to stay on top of it. And I always say that, you know, if I miss something, I know that the Midas Touch, the Adam Mocklers, the Coach D's, the Texas Pauls, the Brian Tyler Cohens, they'll grab it, they'll talk about it. There's a lot of great voices in the pro-democracy movement, and I'm humbled to be a small part of that. But I really appreciate you all so much for helping us build the platform that we have. We've crossed over 850,000 subscribers. We're on the road to 1 million. I do believe we can get there soon. It's pretty crazy when you stop and think about that back. Well, at the start of this year, we hit 500,000 before Trump took office. So we've gained another 350,000 since then. That's pretty damn impressive, and I truly do appreciate all of you. And before that, I think we hit 100,000 around March or April of 24. So we've been growing at a rapid pace, and I truly do appreciate all of you. And maybe eventually this government will get back to working for us. At least I hope so. So Hakeem Jeffries came out and challenged Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Mike Johnson. Hey, get in front of the cameras. Let's talk about this shutdown. If you want to have full transparency, then let's go ahead and let's give it to the American people. But Donald Trump, Vance, and the entire administration isn't for that. They don't want to do it, and they just continue to keep the government shut down. I really believe this is what they wanted. I truly do. I don't think they ever wanted to work for the American people. I think they were only there working for their billionaire buddies. So, no, I don't think that they really have any intention of working for any of us. But whenever Donald Trump is in these conferences and whenever he's taking questions, he truly is one of the worst ever to take questions and act completely dumb, play completely stupid. I've seen some stupid presidents in my lifetime, don't get me wrong. I mean, we lived through George W. Bush, and I really thought that he was the dumbest ever. But he looks more and more like in the rearview mirror. And I still think he's a terrible president, but in the rearview mirror, when you watch Trump take questions, it's always like, well, I'll have to take a look at that. I've got someone else working on that. That's the first time I'm hearing of that. And that's what's weird to me about the whole thing is when you have a leader, and the old expression is the buck stops here, but then when the buck gets to his desk, it's like, oh, well, I don't know. And here he is basically lying and saying that he's meeting with Democrats and talking to them. This is all bullshit, but watch how he gets caught like a deer in headlights right here.
The way you stop them is not to give away, not to announce that you're giving everybody free health care, free this and that, but what that does is it affects the American people because the American people are unable to get good health care. Obamacare has been a wreck, as you know, and to do that, we have to keep it propped up and do the best you can with it. It's a mess. But a lot of things are going on in that. You know, we talk about Hamas, then we talk about negotiations that we have going on right now. We have a negotiation going on right now with the Democrats that could lead to very good things.
What kind of,
And I'm talking about good things with regard to health care.
Are you speaking with Democratic leaders? What kind of negotiations?
Well, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. But we are speaking with the Democrats, and some very good things could happen with respect to health care. But
Did you see how he pretty much just stepped in a pile of shit on that one? He said it and didn't think they were going to follow up on the question, and then it was like, well, I don't want to talk about it. Hold on. It's because he's just spitting out verbal diarrhea. He's not thinking ahead as to what could they potentially ask back, because he doesn't care what they have to say. Whatever they say, he's going to come back with a line of BS, and if he gets too cornered, then he's just going to say, who do you work with? You're fake news, and he's going to go into his Ravishing Rick Rude style WWE heel character. He'll pull that out if he has to, but here is Hakeem Jeffries. He was on the Midas Touch Network talking with Ben Meiselas, and Ben asks him, hey, has Trump been in contact with you? And here's what Jeffries had to say about it.
And let's talk about if he's willing to be about it, because at that Oval Office bizarre press conference that he held, he claimed that he and the leaders of the MAGA Republican Party, MAGA Mike and JD and ostensibly Thune, were speaking with Democrats. I mean, his direct quote was, "We are speaking right now and negotiating with Democratic leaders." Is he being truthful or is he lying, Leader Jeffries?
As far as I can tell, that's a stone cold lie, because I have no idea who the president, the Trump administration, J.D. Vance, Speaker Johnson, John Thune, or any of that crew are talking to, because they certainly aren't talking to House Democratic leadership. And in my conversation with Chuck Schumer earlier today, and by the way, the Senate Democrats continue to hold the line. They've now voted this partisan Republican spending bill down 5 times over the last 2.5 weeks, and are standing up strongly in defense of the healthcare of the American people, along with House Democrats. But there's no evidence, based on my communication with Leader Schumer earlier today, that Republicans are talking to anybody in terms of trying to reopen the government, enact an enlightened spending agreement, and address the issues that need to be addressed to protect the healthcare of the American people, and also to drive costs down, as opposed to the cost of living crisis in America continuing to suffocate the American people.
You know, I'm not there behind the scenes answering the phone calls, but I could pretty much say that Jeffries is telling the truth there, because the government isn't reopening. We're not seeing it reopen because, hell, they just took a paid vacation. They literally just said, well, we're going to need some more time off. And while everyone else is struggling right now during the shutdown, they give themselves a paid vacation. So I think it's always very important to circle back when we're talking to the other side and say to them, is this really what you voted for? Now, I know there's some of them out there that are gleeful about this because they don't understand what's really going on, and they just think, oh, this means less government in my life. But really, is your grocery bill lower? Is your life any easier? Are you still struggling to put food on your table? You have to circle back to just reality checks in my mind. You have to bring it back around. So if they really did want to work for the American people, they would get out there in front of the cameras. It all circles back to what we were talking about earlier with the Epstein files. If they want to really be transparent and prove that the Democrats are the scum of the earth, then get in front of the camera. But when Hakeem Jeffries challenged them to get in front of the camera, Mike Johnson said that would be theatrics. He literally did. They want to accuse us of theatrics because we say, hey, how about you pull up a seat and how about you talk to us in front of the American people? And Johnson actually accused the Democrats of theatrics, and here was Hakeem's response to that.
Really weird press conference that MAGA Mike Johnson had today. And his team also put out a response to you saying, let's discuss these issues in public, in front of the American people, transparently. MAGA Mike Johnson said that it would be theatrics to meet in public, and he rejects that. I want to get your response to MAGA Mike Johnson rejecting a meeting with you and other Democratic leaders, perhaps in public.
It's not theatrics. It's what the American people deserve. Donald Trump and Republicans in the House and the Senate shut the federal government down because they are unwilling to provide health care to working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday Americans. And Mike Johnson needs to defend that position publicly. They refuse to meet privately. They don't want to have a negotiation. They don't want to sit down to try to reopen the government, enact a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people and addresses the Republican healthcare crisis. And so because of that refusal to sit down and work this out privately, my view was, let's have a debate publicly. You can air out your position and we can articulate our position. Our position, we believe, is the right one for the American people. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save healthcare. If Mike Johnson and Republicans feel like they have the high ground, then defend your position publicly, bro. Defend it publicly.
That's exactly what I was saying before I roll the clip. If you have the cards and if you're right, then bring it out and show everybody. Show everybody why it is that you're right. But when you say, I won't meet with you behind closed doors and I won't meet with you in public because that would be theatrics, they really want to accuse us of theatrics when they have Donald Trump as their front runner. That's the head of the table. I always say that leadership starts at the top. So if you want to talk about theatrics, Donald Trump has been theatrics ever since he came down the escalator. We see AI videos of Don't Fear the Reaper. We see AI videos of all this ridiculous stuff of him sitting on a Gaza beach with Netanyahu. All this ridiculous shit that they share constantly. The memes and the trolling and the jokes. And then they say, oh, well, just, if you guys will reopen the government, the jokes will stop. That's bullshit. It's all bullshit. If they really were right on this one, if they were right on the Epstein files, they would release it and they would show that they're innocent and they would show that Democrats are the devil themselves, right? And if they had the cards on this one and they could show that they were right about this, they would show up. You can think what you want to about Schumer and Jeffries, and I know we've all got our quarrels with both of them, but in this case, they're right. And in this case, if they got in front of the American people, in front of the cameras, Donald Trump's and J.D. Vance, Mike Johnson, their narrative would completely crumble. Because we're not over here trying to get health care for illegal immigrants, because that's not a thing. That doesn't happen. And so they're just trying to spin this any way they can to keep the government shut down and to keep putting the blame on the Democrats. And they've done a masterful job. I'll give them that. They've done such a good job of demonizing Democrats that they have duped people into believing that this could possibly be the Democrats' fault. And it's funny to me because you have a Republican president who, before he was ever president, said that if the government ever shut down, that it would be on the president. Trump actually said, well, they're not going to remember who the Speaker of the House is 100 years from now. They'll know who the president was. So it falls back on him. They've got a Republican president. They've got a Republican Senate. They've got a Republican House. And if need be, they've got a Republican Supreme Court stacked 6-3 in their favor. So how could it possibly be Democrats' fault? You're saying that with all that power, you still can't govern? They never stop and think this stuff through. But that's how I take it, and that's how I would take it if I had voted for them. If I had voted for them, I would be sitting back going, wait a minute, hold on. You've got full control. And by the way, you've got immunity for official acts. So just make it an official act and open the government back up. But no, somehow it always becomes the Democrats' fault. And this has been something Republicans have been working on for years, by the way. They have absolutely rode this one for years, blaming Democrats, but Trump took it to a new level. And he done such a good job of it that he's able to convince people that Democrats have some sort of magic powers these days, when they don't. They don't have the cards, and I'm not trying to borrow from Trump, but they don't. So get in front of the cameras and talk it out in front of the American people. Mike Johnson loves to use the word transparency. Well, here's his chance. Why isn't he doing it? I'll tell you why he's not doing it, because the narrative falls apart when it gets in front of the people. And they know that, and that's why you're not going to see him meet with Jeffries, because if they did, they would also have to have a reasonable conversation. And they're the party of theatrics. If they were to do it, they would turn it into absolute theatrics. I would not be one bit stunned if Trump didn't show up with Jeffries airbrushed on his suit and wiggled his hips like Rick Rude, because that's the type of people that we're up against. That's who they are. They've always been the party of theatrics. They always will be. And actually, what they're doing right now with the whole damn thing is theatrics, by passing the blame on a group of people that aren't even in control. And they got people out there dumb enough to buy it. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that at this point in the game, you've got people who will still hang on and believe that, oh man, the Republicans are working for me. No, they're not. They were never working for you. They were always working for their billionaire buddies, and they just found a way to dupe working class people into voting for them. And what they're doing right now, folks, has been the Republican wet dream for years. It really has. This goes back long before any of us was even around. If you even went back to the years of FDR and the New Deal, you had people back then standing against that, standing against any progress, and they've been trying to tear this stuff down every step of the way. And that's what they're doing now. What this basically boils down to, folks, and I say this a lot of times, it gets misunderstood. I'll say Trump has no ideas, and his followers will get real mad, and they'll jump in and go, hey, bullshit, man, he does got ideas. Here's what I mean by that. His ideas is to destroy anything that someone else built. His ideas is to completely tear down and destroy what a Democrat built, and it doesn't matter what it is. You could literally tell him it was anything, and he would take food right out of a child's mouth if he thought of Democrats who put the food on that table. He would yank it away to tear it down. So when I say they don't have any ideas, yeah, their idea is to just absolutely destroy everything, keep getting themselves richer, and keep everyone looking at that carrot and chasing it, thinking, one day if I chase this carrot long enough, I'm going to get ahead. It's absolutely, I thought the Bush administration, was masters at it. I thought Reagan and Bush before that. Hell, it goes back to Nixon. I thought they were all really good with their Southern strategy. But Donald Trump took it to new heights. He truly did. And it's going to be very interesting once he's out of the political arena. It'll be very interesting to see how long the Republican Party lasts, because this may be a hot take, I don't know, but I really believe that if you take Donald Trump out of the equation, if he hadn't came along in 2016 and they had have just ran, Jeb Bush, which is what I kind of thought it was going to be. I kind of really thought it would be Hillary Clinton versus Jeb Bush. If for some reason it had just been Hillary Clinton versus Jeb Bush, or just some middle-of-the-road Republican, and they had tried to stay middle-of-the-road Republicans, I don't think we would have had a Republican president. I think that would have been the end of them, and I think they know that. And I think that's why that they latched on so hard to Trump, is because they knew he was the only one that could get them to a victory. Now, you take a look at what they did. They were willing to get behind somebody that terrible and ride that horse over the finish line. Meanwhile, we got people like Mamdani in New York getting over, resonating with the people, and we can't seem to get our party to get behind that guy. It's crazy to me how that you've got people who would get behind someone on the wrong side of history and then pump the brakes about getting someone who's trying to take us forward. But that's the world we live in, and it's a crazy world to be part of these days. But I appreciate y'all so much for sticking with me, hanging in there. We've not went live like this in a while. I'm going to try to get back into more of a swing of doing this every Tuesday. I won't be here next Tuesday, but after that, I think the following Tuesday would be the 21st. I think I looked at that earlier. So there won't be a show on the 14th, but I'll be back in the saddle on the 21st, and then things should slow down a little bit for me, and I should be able to get back out there and keep doing these on a regular basis. I've missed it. I've missed talking with y'all live, and I've been recording my videos a little different these days. I've just been sitting down in the chair and recording everything at once, and it really helps me to be able to do stuff and be able to kind of take a break and take a pause, because before I would just record a video, upload it, go away, do something, come back later, record another one. And it just kept me chasing my tail. I never had a chance to take a break. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sit down with my subjects. I'm going to talk about it in a 1 hour block, boom, record them, chop them up, put them out, because it makes life a lot easier. And that way I'm able to move around and do more. But thank y'all so much. I appreciate you for being here with me, and we will get back in the saddle with the live streams. And I'm going to look into booking some guests back on the show. It's always fun when we have guests live, so we'll look forward to that. We'll be in talks with people. I've got a good network of people around me, and a good network of people that I can call on to talk with about different things. I always say that I'm just a guy that's reacting to the news, and that's why there's a lot of stories that I ain't talking about just yet, because I'm still waiting to hear exactly what it is. I have heard about the judge in South Carolina's home blowing up, or catching on fire, and yeah, it definitely does look suspicious, but I'm one of those people that just believes that I want to make sure, before I get too deep in the weeds talking about something, I want to make sure I know more about it. I think I waited almost a day or longer before I talked about Charlie Kirk. It's just because I needed a minute to take it in. So, Aaron Parnas does a damn good job of breaking the news to you as it happens. Boom, he's right there on top of it. But I'm the guy that reacts once it's over. And so I will get around to those stories. I have people send me stories all the time, and I appreciate you sending them. Sometimes I cover them. Sometimes I just wait till I have a little bit more information before I get in the saddle and cover them. That's just how I prefer to be. I just believe that if more people did that and we reacted to the news in that way, I understand the news is always going to be breaking. I get that. It's always going to be breaking. But I just feel like sometimes it's better to pump the brakes and before you start just making all these assumptions like they've done about us so many times. It doesn't matter what happens. Trump runs to social media immediately. It's the radical left. I mean, immediately. He does not hesitate. And the minute they did this, they did it. Doesn't matter what happens. And they repeat the lie even after we prove that it's wrong. I still see them going, they shot at Trump, they shot at Charlie, blah, blah, blah. So when that's the type of people you're dealing with, it is harder to get ahead in the world. But we'll continue to put in the work and we'll continue to try. And I thank y'all so much. We're going to do one more segment here in today's show, and then I got to get going for the day. But again, thank y'all so much for hanging in there live with me. And we'll get back in the saddle on the 21st and keep doing this on a more regular basis on Tuesdays at noon Eastern. And eventually I'd like to work out a time to be able to maybe flip-flop and do them in the evening, because I do have listeners in different time zones and also listeners that are going to work and they're not here at this time. So we'll try to do some afternoon shows too, so that we can get more people in there to be a part of it. But I do appreciate all of you. And so we'll go ahead and move on into the next segment, which I'm really, really excited to talk about. So AOC absolutely owned Pee Wee German. That's what I refer to Stephen Miller as. My apologies to the family of Pee Wee Herman, but I just think Pee Wee German suits him so good. And I'm usually not the person that like comes up with nicknames for people. I don't really do that because I don't ever want to come off like them in any way. But this dude absolutely deserves to be mocked. He deserves to be laughed at. The dude absolutely is such a scumbag that anytime you can take a joke to him, go for it. Because he's so thin-skinned and you can see it. You can see it. You can see that he falls apart. Because he's always on TV shouting like a WWE guy. It always looks like he's cutting a promo. He never looks like someone that's sitting there just doing a regular interview. It's always like, well, let me tell you something, brother. That's just how he comes at it. It's always, he's pointing, he's foaming at the mouth. Oh. And then AOC goes out and just lays waste to him. And it's epic. So we're going to watch what AOC said. We may not watch the entire thing. It's kind of a long clip, but it's worth every second of it. It truly is. She lays waste to him, and then he goes on Fox News and responds. So buckle up for this one. It's entertaining. Here is AOC just laying into old Pee Wee German.
The point is that they are scrapping and grasping at straws because they have nothing else. Laugh at them. Stephen Miller is a clown. I've never seen that guy in real life, but he looks like he's like 4'10", and he looks like he is angry about the fact that he's 4'10", and he looks like he is so mad that he is 4'10", that he's taking that anger out at any other population possible. Like, laugh at them. Laugh at them. Yes, they are dangerous. Yes, we're here to be strong for one another. We need to expose the lies. We need to never let off the gas when it comes to protecting one another, exposing the lies, documenting things. We're seeing this too, right? And so I think it's very important to be able to hold multiple things at once. And we've seen this work in other cultures. We've seen this work in other countries. Yes, the resistance to authoritarianism is very real. The risks of abuse of power are very real. But one of the most powerful cultural things that you can do to a political movement that is predicated on the puffery of insecure masculinity. That's what this is about. This isn't, people talk about toxic masculinity, more than it, like, let's put that to the side for just 1 second. This is about insecure masculinity. And one of the best ways that you can dismantle a movement of insecure men is by making fun of them. By having secure men who aren't afraid of successful people around them, who are good dads, who have strong values also participating in that as well. So like, that's what I have for that. And also someone said, short kings are great. Absolutely. I'm not here. I want to absolutely make sure that I talk about that. I'm not here to make fun of anyone's anything, but the way people overcompensate over their own stories is what I'm talking about there. So thank you for the clarification. I appreciate.
I just went ahead and let that whole thing play because she was cooking and it was absolutely great. And I just enjoyed listening to it again. So I said at the start, I don't know if I'll run the whole clip, but then once she got in the middle of it, I was like, no, I'm absolutely running this one because she's spot on. I've always believed that you can really begin to take people's power away when you literally laugh at them. There is power in laughter. I truly do believe that. My grandmother used to teach me that when I was a kid. Back when I was little, I had red hair and freckles. I got picked on a lot. For whatever reason, redheads always get picked on. We just do. And my Nana taught me to turn that and flip it and just be proud of it and just embrace it and just lean into it and point out that, you know, Willie Nelson was the redheaded stranger and Lucille Ball had red hair and screw you if you don't like it. And so I really do believe, like she said, she's not making fun of anyone for anything. She's actually poking fun at them for overcompensating for who they are. And I really do believe that, you know, we do call them authoritarian because by definition they are. Definition of authoritarian is favoring strict obedience to authority, especially at the expense of personal freedom. That's the definition. But I almost think that someone like Pee Wee German, he probably hears the word authoritarian. It probably makes him feel like, whoa, he probably feels buffed up like the Ultimate Warrior. Like, oh, yeah, I am an authoritarian. So when you really just kind of cut him down to size and just make fun of him and troll him the way that people like AOC and Gavin Newsom is, then I do believe that he'll crumble. And this next clip is him reacting to what we just watched from AOC. And you know, this is probably the first time that I've seen the dude smile. He actually does attempt to smile and laugh a little bit, but he's so painfully cringe and so painfully awkward that I can't look away when I watch this clip. Take a look.
Stephen, AOC is you're her favorite target apparently on Instagram. Check this out.
He looks like he is angry about the fact that he's 4'10". And he looks like he is so mad that he is 4'10", that he's taking that anger out at any other population possible. Like, laugh at them. Laugh at them.
Like, laugh at them. Laugh at them. I wish I had a hoodie on. I mean, are we trying to play sorority sister as elected official? I don't know. I was at a sorority over the weekend over in Texas. I felt like I was back at the sorority house, except they had more sense. Stephen, quick response.
Well, we knew that her brain didn't work. Now we know that her eyes don't work. So I mean, she is a mess, right? What a train wreck. What a train wreck.
I think you should just get a hoodie.
It's great.
You should just wear a hoodie from now on and respond to her in a hoodie. It should be hoodie to hoodie.
It's,
Stephen,
yes,
thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead.
I think the important point is that every time she's on TV, Republican approval ratings go up, Democrat approval ratings go down. That lady is a walking nightmare.
You're about. I know you for 20 years. You're about 5'10", 11. About 5'10", yes. So 4'10". Yes. I don't know what she can't say. All right, Stephen, thank you very much.
So he's 5'10", I'm 6'3". I don't really see that it makes much difference because it wouldn't matter if he was 7 foot tall like Andre the Giant. He's still actually weak in his mind, and his ideas are small, and his ideas are dangerous. But it's just so funny to me how that they want to sit there and talk about her hoodie. Like, oh my God, did you see she was wearing a hoodie? Did you see she was clapping her hands? And then he just played one of MAGA's old hits. They all say that, let her speak. Just let her talk. Because our ratings goes up when she talks because she's stupid and blah, blah, blah. And they'll sit there and they'll criticize her for her hoodie. They will criticize the hoodie and they'll criticize the hand clap and they'll make fun of her. And meanwhile, the leader of their party will walk out on a stage with a hat that says Trump was right about everything. I mean, the wrestler Cody Rhodes got his logo tattooed on his neck. I thought that was pretty arrogant. I thought, you know what? Like, you get your own logo. I mean, it's one thing. Nothing wrong with neck tattoos. I've got tattoos. I don't think I would ever get one on my neck just because I don't like for anything to touch my neck and I don't want the pain on my neck. But, you know, go out and get a neck tattoo, whatever. But, like, I thought that was cringe. But no. Like, Trump wearing his own hats Trump was right about everything. That's absolutely one of the most cringeworthy things that I've ever seen. And out of all the ridiculous gestures that Trump makes and all the ridiculous things that he says and just continues to spiral, every time Trump talks, it just gets worse. Now, for everyone that used to love to pick on Joe Biden for his age, Joe Biden did grow old right in front of the camera. No one's denying that. He absolutely did. The Joe Biden in 2024 that was in that debate was definitely not the Joe Biden that debated Paul Ryan all those years ago. So we know that Joe Biden slowed down, absolutely. Donald Trump, it's not about slowing down that worries me. It's about his speeding up. To me, it's about everything to do with him going forward. And he's just so unhinged and so off the walls and gets so tripped up now in his speech. All I'm saying is that the Jake Tappers of the world wanted to hold Joe Biden under such a microscope. Maybe we should be holding Trump under that same microscope instead of sitting over here and pointing to AOC and her hoodie and saying, boy, they got a person in a hoodie. I will take AOC and her hoodie any day of the week. She can be the president and run the presidency, kick back in her desk. She can put her feet on the desk, wear a hoodie, and flip 2 middle fingers in the air, and you will never hear me criticize it because I would say at least we don't have the insane authoritarian regime in place that we do now. That's just me. You know, you want to talk about lesser of two evils. I go back to that verse in the Bible. My grandpa used to say it this way. I know the Bible don't actually say it this way, but I like my grandpa's version. My grandpa used to say, they will gag at a gnat and swallow a camel. I think the Bible says they will strain at a gnat and swallow a camel, but the moral of that verse is they'll pick on something very small, and they will pick on that, but then they will accept something so much worse. So yeah, they'll sit there and they'll pick on AOC for her hoodie, and they'll use that same line that every one of them uses, by the way. Everyone say that same exact thing. Just let her speak. Just let her keep talking. We look good. The sad part is they let Donald Trump keep talking, and people still hangs on his every word and believes him. Even after everything we've talked about on the show today, all the promises it's been broken. The government is shut down. The Epstein files aren't released. Your grocery bill isn't any lower. Your eggs aren't cheaper. Your life isn't better. None of the promises he made are coming true except all of the authoritarian BS we're seeing. And to everybody that's excited about seeing the troops on the street, I just go back and say to myself, you know, they used to say everything they used to warn us that Barack Obama was going to do. They would always, Obama's going to do that. Everything they ever warned us about martial law and Obama and everything they've ever accused him of doing, they did it. And there's people that's okay with it. There's a lot of people that aren't, and if we do have a free and fair election in the midterms, I think you will see Republicans lose. If we do have an election in 2028, I do believe that the Republican will lose. But just the fact that I'm saying if we have an election, that should be the biggest alarm of them all. That one quote should be enough to go, wait a minute. Everyone should be able, with all the confidence in the world, to say, Brando, don't worry about that. There will be an election. It'll be fair. It'll be square. They'll accept the results of it. But no one can say that. No one can say it with the real level of confidence. Because look at Adelita Grijalva out of Arizona. She's the 218th vote. She won in a landslide. They're refusing to swear in. They're delaying that. They're pumping the brakes. So if they would pump the brakes that hard to swear in someone who won in a landslide, what makes you think you're going to get them to accept defeat in the midterms or in 2028? I'm not trying to bring down the room, but I do believe that we should always, keep a reality check and realize what it is that we're up against. But I do appreciate y'all so much for helping me build this platform, and we'll just continue to grow it. And we'll get to 1 million subscribers soon. I appreciate y'all so much. If you haven't already, hit that button. It doesn't cost anything. If you ever do want to hit the join button, you can. We do have YouTube memberships. We also have a Patreon, and we do a lot of content over there and talk about other things sometimes. So go check those out if you haven't already, and we'll just keep pushing forward. But I'm with AOC on this one. Mock these people. Laugh at these people. They're so thin-skinned, they can't take it. You call them authoritarians, and that's just going to make them flex. But you start cutting them down to size, and you'll see them break really quick. And I do believe that. I believe that the more you call them out and the more that you laugh and poke fun at them, the more they'll just wilt. I really do believe that. And so, yeah, folks, it's been fun. It's been good to get back in front of a live audience and do this one again. And hope everyone had a good time. I'll be back on the 21st to do one again. And hopefully eventually I'll be able to come over and do some live streams in the afternoon so that we can have some different time frames pop in. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody so much. Shout out to Jim, to Fallen Empire, to Rachel M, and to Finner. I hope I'm saying that right. And the Fallen Empire, thank y'all so much for your contributions. Thanks to all my members. Shout out to all the YouTube members and all my patrons that are in the crowd watching. I really do appreciate all of you. And yeah, I just saw a comment go by about Project 2025. We could definitely do a whole episode of I Told You So's on that one. I don't want to quote Pete Hegseth, but FAFO. It's like, yeah. It actually sucks being right about this stuff. I actually don't get any pleasure in going, hey, look, we told you so. I don't get any pleasure in that. I know that their whole shtick is about owning the libs, but to me, it's never about that. It's never about owning the other side. And if there's one misconception about me that some people may have, I'm not, I love my state. I love Tennessee. I love the place I grew up. There's really good people around here. There's really good hardworking people around here. There's really good hardworking people who have been duped to vote against their own interest. And I'm just over here saying, hey, have you ever looked at it this way? Have you ever thought about it from another point of view? Have you ever entertained the idea that these billionaires could be playing you? And they know how to play people in the South. It goes back to Nixon and the Southern strategy, but they understand how to play us. People in the South are taught to believe in God, so just tell them the Democrats hate your God. People in the South are took hunting from the time they're kids. We've all got our granddaddy's guns in our closet that, in the words of Mike Cooley, never shot a thing. But still, we grow up shooting guns, and then we'll tell them the Democrats are taking the guns. They just did this job of painting the Democrats as radical left lunatics. And I want to point something out. Have you ever heard Donald Trump ever refer to anyone on the Democrats? Has he ever said that's a moderate Democrat? Has he ever said that's a Democrat I can work with? Has he ever even said that's one Democrat that I can get along with? I don't have a problem with that one. No, everybody to him is radical left. Everybody that disagrees with him is radical left. Even if his own followers break with him, well, you're radical left. I mean, it's just like that's his MO. That's where he goes. And I've talked to people from other parts of the world who have literally laughed out loud at him calling certain people the radical left. I mean, he'll call AOC that, but then turn around and call Joe Biden that. They're not the same. It's crazy to me. But all we can do this day and age is just continue to push forward. I say that all the time, and I always tell my listeners, take care of your mental health. Be there for each other. Be there for your family. Take a break. If you have to tune out, tune out. I understand. I always say to people, and I know this is not a popular thing for YouTubers to say because we're always supposed to be trying to pitch something to you. But my argument is this. You take care of yourself. You take care of your mental health first. You tune out if you need to. When you get back in the saddle, you don't have to back up and listen to 2 weeks worth of my videos. Just pick up where you left off. There's plenty of stuff happened. By the time, if you get halfway through listening to what you missed, you'll be depressed all over again and ready to tune out again. So just get back in the saddle. Keep moving forward. Share the videos. Put them out there to have the conversations. Have the tough conversations. And always, if I could say anything, just always bring it back to, and you don't even really have to say Democrat or Republican when you have these arguments, but just circle back when you're arguing with your MAGA family or your MAGA coworkers. Just circle back to, but is our life any better? If you'll just kind of go back to that and not actually talk about the parties, 9 times out of 10, you'll get them to agree that, yeah, it's really not much better. So, you can make progress that way. But like I always say, take care of yourselves, and we'll just continue to do what it is that we do. So until next time, I can't wait to get back in the saddle. I'll be back here live on the 21st. But until then, I'll just continue to pump out the content here on YouTube. You'll be seeing it, and I'll love hearing from y'all. So let me know subjects. People reach out to me all the time with different stuff to talk about. And like I said, I get to them if I can. Sometimes I wait till I get all the information. Sometimes I get sent conspiracy theories and I don't entertain those unless evidence surfaces. That's it for me. I need evidence. That's what I need. So if you've ever sent me like some off the wall conspiracy theory and I didn't respond, it's because I'm more of an evidence guy. That's just me. And, I'm the first person, if someone can provide evidence and say, there's the guy on the grassy knoll, then I'll hear it out. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.